With several large Oklahoma school districts opting to return to remote learning this week due to the surge in Omicron, we wondered, how are the hundreds of millions of dollars allocated by the federal government being spent to ensure that schools are staying open and children are being taught inside of the classroom? Jason Doyle joins us now with his report. Jason.
The State Department of Education, along with our local school districts, have more than $2.3 billion in federal COVID relief funds to make things safer in the classroom. At the same time, trying to catch up those students who fell behind early in the pandemic. On Monday, Oklahoma City Public Schools announced they had 4 campuses go remote to help mitigate the latest COVID surge. By midweek, the entire school district had to go to virtual learning. Oklahoma City Public Schools Superintendent Sean McDaniel says the district's share of federal COVID relief funds have come in handy.
We are using lots and lots of federal money for things like PPE, for testing, for opening up new testing pods, for vaccination opportunities.
Due to staff shortages caused by illness, McDaniel says some of that money is being used to keep students in school as much as possible.
We're using federal dollars for incentives to get guest teachers and substitute teachers to come by paying a premium rate. So we are doing what we can do with federal dollars to try and keep our doors open.
While those funds have kept classrooms open for the most part, there are some rules attached. The program is managed by the Oklahoma State Department of Education.
Every penny of those federal dollars are accounted for, but they're first approved. Then they are secured and reimbursed by the State Department of Education.
State Superintendent of Public Instruction Joy Hoffmeister sits on the OETA board. Those federal COVID relief funds have come from 3 rounds of stimulus passed by Congress in 2020 and 2021. School districts have been able to use these funds to upgrade facilities and technology.
We've replaced a roof. We actually have replaced HVAC because our systems were outdated, and we need fresh air. We've replaced windows.
More public schools use some of its money to install ionization modules like this on all of the school's air handling systems. Those units are about $600 each. Moore has 3 high schools, 6 junior highs, and 25 elementary schools.
Felt like with the things that we had in place, with the ionization systems, with all of the things that we tried to do, that we were pretty successful. We continue school every day other than some weather issues that we ran into.
Moore Public Schools Managing Director Jimmy Martin says the federal funds gave the district a chance to make sure students had the technology they needed, like Chromebooks.
We were able to utilize that to put devices in the hands of the students. We knew that there had the possibility of having times that we would have to go virtual learning. Therefore, we would be able to send kids home with a device to continue their education.
Stillwell schools have extra nurses on staff to help manage possible surges.
Our nurse is available. She has the rapid test. If a teacher isn't feeling well or a student isn't feeling well and they have a symptom, then they can drive through, actually get a rapid test, sit in their car, not be around anyone, and find out in 15 to 20 minutes if they're positive and they need to go home.
Bethany Public Schools also enlisted school nurses for that district's efforts.
We added a second nurse. We added a nurse's assistant because there is a lot of just paperwork that goes along with contact tracing and making sure that parents get notified.
Bethany Superintendent Drew Eichelberger says the nearly $3 million his district has access to help them give parents a choice of in-person instruction or virtual.
We've got a very small percentage, but yet a few parents who wanted virtual school. And so rather than do that ourselves and try to have our teachers do in-person school and virtual like they did last year, we just purchased that from a company called Edmentum, and they specialize in virtual school.
Many of the schools are using federal funds to get those students back on track who fell behind over the past 2 years.
We also offer after-school tutoring, both in middle school and elementary, and then in-school tutoring in elementary, middle, and high school.
We have more software, more programs that have bolstered the loss in learning. more programs than we've ever had.
This last round, the American Rescue Plan, 20% of those funds are used for intervention for learning loss.
Part of the federal money is also being used to address the mental health needs of students forced to endure a constantly changing learning environment that no one, students, parents, or educators, could have imagined prior to March of 2020. The State Department of Education is matching those dollars.
Partnered with schools to take half a match of their funds matched with the State Department's funds to build out a school counselor corps.
The school districts have until the end of next year to expend their federal COVID funds. Coming up later in the newscast, an in-depth discussion about how to keep Oklahoma classrooms open with a union representative for the teachers and a concerned working parent. Susan and her panel will join us shortly. Rich?
Jason, thank you. Senator Jessica Garvin, a Republican from Duncan, will introduce 2 bills in the upcoming session to address Oklahoma's acute teacher shortage. Senate Bill 1144 would allow substitute teachers with a valid, lapsed, or expired certificate or bachelor's degree to work as many days as needed. And Senate Bill 1119 would remove the limitations on the number of hours adjunct teachers can spend in the classroom, allowing retired professionals like accountants or journalists, bankers, or chemists a chance to become educators and share their knowledge.
Unfortunately, we were kind of in a teacher shortage before COVID ever hit, and it's just getting progressively worse. Teachers are jumping out of the profession as soon as they can, and there's various reasons that that's happening. But if my kids can be exposed to community members and community leaders with real world experience in whatever field that they are a professional, I think that that's an incredible thing for my kids.
There are currently about 400 adjunct teachers in Oklahoma, and that number continues to grow. Also, 3,600 emergency certifications were approved last year, overwhelming proof of the serious teacher shortage problem in Oklahoma.